Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another edition of Deep Fat Fried.
Starring Scotty, Paul, and Spicy Chicken Sandwich.
Thanks, 90s trailer guy, TJ.
In a world beset by grief and hunger, one chicken sandwich will rise to feed the people.
Dude, you lied to me. You told me you were going to do this entire episode as a chicken sandwich.
I lied to you, Scotty.
Yeah, you were supposed to do this entire episode as a disembodied chicken sandwich.
Too bad.
Why'd you lie to us, man?
I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
I don't even get hurt anymore, dude. TJ, just making these promises and yanking your joy right back from you. I was hoping you were serious about rebranding yourself just a chicken sandwich.
This whole show is the chicken sandwich now.
Wow.
That's where we're at.
Tasty.
That's where we're at, bro.
I, for one, think it's the greatest chicken sandwich of all time.
I'd buy it every day, and you should too. Bleep, bloop, bleep.
I'm
Bleep,
not a
bloop.
shill. I'm TJ.
Chicken sandwich equals delicious.
Chicken sandwich equals dollars.
I think you should write a ballad about this chicken sandwich today. That's what your latest Amazing Atheist video.
Yeah, you need to actually fill in the words for it though. Don't just chicken sandwich. You know what I mean? Like
Chicken sandwich. There you go.
You got to actually. I want a heartfelt love ballad to the chicken sandwich.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
some 70s love song. TJ.
Yeah, dude. When your crispiness hits my lips. You know what I mean? I want that whole fucking. I want you to make
It's
love.
like a euphoric kiss.
Yep.
Yeah, TJ, come on, what's some shit like that, dude?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
You really love this chicken sandwich, don't you?
More than life.
He hasn't been able to talk about anything else.
You guys are the ones who brought it back up.
Whatever, TJ. You know you
Because I was lied
insinuated it.
to. Because I was lied to, dude. You said, I'm going to do the next episode as a disembodied chicken sandwich. I think you're a man of your word, generally, TJ. So I
Yeah, well,
expect
not
you-
this time. Not this time, bro.
See, TJ's covering his shameful baldness with a hood now. He's going to be a Sith Lord now until his hair grows back.
Yeah.
Baldy.
Something.
Get thou down, Baldy. Go thou down the street, Baldy.
Soon.
Where are your two bears, TJ?
Yeah, where's the bears?
Where are the fucking bears, Baldy?
Look, there goeth Baldy.
Verily I say, he is bald.
His head is like an egg.
How dare you defy the might of the chicken sandwich?
Dude, Emperor Palpatine's going to be a fucking interesting character this time around. He's defending the Empire in the chicken sandwich wars.
Soon my chicken sandwich will be upon the lips of all the people of the universe.
Dude, I'm pretty sure in a couple of generations that's what Star Wars is going to be reduced to.
They almost said Starbucks, dude.
Bold.
Maybe they're gonna merge.
Starballs?
Warbucks.
Dun, 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 dun. Buy our shit.
Mocha Frappuccino.
Yes.
I will take all the frappuccinos from the rebels.
We're not even going to have soy milk. This is ridiculous.
He's got a digitally recreated Mark Hamill when he was young. Luke, the frap is with you. The whip is with you. Feel the sprinkles and caramel drizzle through your soul. The frap is with you. Yeah. Oh,
like it.
boy. Man, the future's going to be
I'm gonna see
awesome.
fucking Darth Vader eating a goddamn Big Mac or something.
You call this a spicy Italian sausage breakfast sandwich warmed in the oven? Ah!
Oh, they can force choke the person that does it to him.
You did not properly prepare this sandwich. Everyone knows that Starbucks morning sandwiches are always crisp and heated all the way through. Ah! My lord, I'll make you a new one. Damn right you will. Get me a frap as well. Extra shot. Mocha with a caramel drizzle. Inside the cup and on top. and a sprinkle of cinnamon.
Damn, the new fucking
Yes.
Disneyverse fucking Star Wars universe is
It's gonna be awesome.
Let the caffeine flow through you.
And I have the perfect person to direct all of this.
Who?
Adam Sandler.
Oh yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Mr. Product
He's
Placement.
got the product placement game down.
No, I'm going to play the sidekick, and I'm going to do as much product placement as possible. Oh, is your tum-tum hurting after all that delicious food? I overindulged. Well, you need Pepto-Bismol.
There you go.
They'll make like Pizza the Hut canon and shit. It'll be good.
It's Pizza the Hut.
Pizza Hut's dead. That's a dead franchise, dude.
Is it? Let's see.
Let's look at sales.
Pizza Hut.
So, dude, do a search.
Look at sales compared to Pizza Hut's peak and see how far
I
the
don't know,
mighty have
man.
fallen.
I think Pizza Hut's actually doing kind of well, Paul.
No, Pizza Hut.
About to eat some fucking crow on that one, my man.
Pizza Hut's done.
I don't like Pizza Hut myself, but I think they're actually doing pretty well.
Pizza Hut done.
Pizza Hut to close 500 underperforming restaurants over 2
shit,
years.
never mind.
Ruh-roh.
Oh, shit.
That's all the more reason they need to advertise.
I guess
man.
I better eat my crow then.
Yeah, Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut's not been doing
We
well for
are
a while.
leaning into. We are learning. No, leaning. We are leaning into accelerate the. That doesn't make any sense.
Leaning in to accelerate.
Yeah, and they didn't use into as one word.
It's
It's literally
corporate speak.
in and then to.
Dude, corporate speak is just...
All right, I'm going to read this
as
as it's written, but it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
We are leaning into accelerate the transition of our Pizza Hut U.S.
It makes sense.
asset base.
We are leaning in to accelerate the blah 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 of our asset base.
Basically, they're saying
I don't know how are they
they're,
leaning in.
they're going to close stores faster.
Right.
Okay. The transition of our Pizza Hut U.S. asset base to truly modern delivery carry-out assets.
It's to be more about carry
David W. Gibbs, President and Chief Operating Officer.
It sounds like they're
and
just gonna-
financial officer.
It sounds like they're just going to create places to make pizzas and then just do
This
mobile
will
ordering.
ultimately strengthen the Pizza Hut business in the U.S. and set it up for faster long-term growth.
It kind of almost makes sense with people doing all this, app ordering and stuff, just to have a pizza where you just can't go in. It's all just
So-
delivered to you.
When they say they're closing 500 stores, that brings them down to 7,000 stores as opposed to 7,500 stores.
I don't hear
so-
Domino's closing 500 stores. I don't hear
Yeah,
fucking
no, dude.
Papa John's closing
Let's see. I
500
wonder how
stores.
many. Let's see how many stores Domino's has.
They're definitely the leader in the market.
You think
So
right
that's-
now, when it comes to that level of delivery pizza, it's Domino's now.
Well, but
let's
you
see.
know what? Domino's came out with a really smart marketing thing, which is they have that pizza insurance. Have you heard that shit?
oh yeah,
Where if it gets fucked up, they'll bring. I mean, so
You
that's
can
like
buy insurance on your pizza.
There's 16,000 Domino's.
so. Just yeah.
There's
Pizza Hut used to be the shit. Back
pizza
when I was
buffet,
a kid,
dude.
Pizza Hut was the shit. Everybody would go in there. Your parents
know,
would get like a
dude.
pitcher of beer. They
okay.
get
Well,
a
that's
couple
it.
pizzas.
Okay, that's in the world. So
There's
I
a
don't
big
know.
arcade in the back of the Pizza Hut. The Pizza Hut used to be the shit.
Dude, Pizza Hut was the place to go. I agree with you. In
Not
the
anymore.
90s, it was like, yeah, let's go to Pizza
Nobody
Hut.
goes to Pizza Hut no more.
Dude, for the whole kale movement, Pizza Hut was actually the number one buyer of kale.
All right, so mental
salad bar.
So let's see. This is from 2018. So this should be pretty updated. So this is going to tell us what the top pizza places are. Top
Okay.
10 pizza chains in America.
It's got to be Domino's number one.
Pizza is a $45.1 billion industry in the United States. Here are the top pizza chains across this great nation based on gross sales in
Say
2016.
a $41 billion industry.
45.
$45 billion.
industry.
That's crazy, dude.
So this is based on gross sales in 2016, which is, I guess, the most recent year they had records for. Number one in 2016, Pizza Hut.
Damn.
What?
Pizza Hut is truly enormous, raking in more than $5.75 billion in 2016.
Well,
Damn.
looks like they're having a downtrend recently though.
Number 2, Domino's, $5.47 billion. Number 3, Little Caesars. Number 4,
makes
Papa
sense.
John's. Number 5, Papa Murphy's. Number 6, California Pizza Kitchen, which sucks really
Yeah, I
bad.
hate California.
Dude, Papa Murphy's is great. They don't have those out here.
I know, right?
Nah.
Well, they did have one, but it closed.
That sucks.
Yeah, it didn't do well.
Number
enough.
7, Marco's Pizza. Number 8, Round Table Pizza. Number 9, Mellow Mushroom. And number 10, CC's Pizza.
The bait route was to die for.
The beetroot. You gotta try the fucking beetroot. It's
Not-
to die for.
Not only is that strange because he's some foreign dude, but I've never heard anyone give a fuck about beets.
I know, right?
I mean, I've never heard the person.
What about the beetroot though?
It's the same thing.
It is.
No, it isn't.
That's just the British.
For those
way
of you guys
saying
who
that.
don't remember what the fuck we're talking
beetroot.
about, I was on a
Disney
Disney
tram.
World tram one time, and the guy in front of me was from like England or some shit, and he was literally sitting there talking to his wife like, CC's Pizza, all you can eat for only $5.
He was so sold
The
out.
beetroot was to die for. Just like,
Are you sure that really happened?
That's-
really
Dude, it
fucking
fucking
happened. I
happened.
swear to fucking God.
Dude, it really fucking
That's
happened.
fucking horrible.
Not only that, it was just like the enthusiasm he had. Like
It was the level of enthusiasm I'm projecting there
it's like no, it's not
doesn't
even
even
that.
capture
Like the dude was
how
like,
much he was happy about
well, dude,
this.
because in the UK, and you know this about other countries, like they don't have deals like that. They nickel like you want to have all you eat pizza, you're gonna spend like fucking 20 pounds or something.
$5.
To them, it's like basically saying like I give you some bullshit, like 3 fucking of my money, and I'm gonna get a fucking all you can eat pizza buffet. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
The beetroot was to fucking die for. The pizza, hideous, barely edible. But the beetroot, goddammit, to die
think-
for.
I'm gonna have to go to Cece's and
I don't
get
think
the
CC's
beetroot.
pizza's
It's all right.
How's
inedible.
the beetroot over there?
But it's
though?
definitely quantity over quality.
Yes.
That's what I want to know
Faux show.
when I go to a pizza place. How's the beetroot?
How the fuck's the beetroot here? Call up Domino's, like, excuse me, how is your beetroot over
Paul,
there?
you actually live near a pizza buffet.
Do I?
Johnny's Pizza.
Oh.
They have for lunch. They have a pizza buffet.
Yeah, get your ass over
Just
Johnny.
telling you, if you ever want pizza,
Come on over to Johnny's Pizza. All you can eat at the pizza.
because if Paul's ever told me he has a food Achilles heel, it's definitely pizza.
I do love pizza.
Food kills
Which I can't blame you because pizza's fucking delicious.
So, Paul,
Yep.
why are we here? Why have you gathered us here today?
Well, I asked you this earlier, but you had a chance to think about it, TJ. And Scotty, I ask you as well. Are you ready to be thrilled?
Yes.
Are you ready to be chilled?
I don't know about that,
No,
but no,
no.
I'm a little scared. But I'll go along with it.
I don't want to be chilled.
Are you ready for cum to be spilled?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It depends where.
At the end of the show, are you ready to be shilled?
Yes.
Yes. Well, definitely that.
Absolutely.
If you were a field, would you be ready to be tilled?
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like a good time.
Sure. Why not?
If you were grain, would you be ready to be milled?
Yeah. I feel like I'm ready to be milled.
Yeah.
Then you've come to the right show.
Cool.
We're going to talk tonight about the mummy's curse. Now, before we get into it, I want to tell you what this episode is not. It is not an episode necessarily about mummies. This is not the mummy episode. We're not going to talk about movie mummies.
Boo!
We're not going to. We will discuss
Boo,
mummies,
mummies. Boo!
but we're not going to talk about the movie
Rip off.
mummy. Okay, that we assume that everybody knows that people wrap themselves up and play mummies in the movies. This
didn't
is
know that.
specifically about the curse, the mummy's curse. What do you know about the mummy's curse, Scotty? I know you've heard
Oh
of it.
man, dude. Let me tell you, if you get the mummy's curse, dude, it basically means that mummy's gonna come after you, and you're fucked, dude.
Right.
You ain't stopping no mummy. Once the mummy is on your trail, it's gonna devour your soul and your body and everything you have.
That is the popular idea of the mummy's curse. That's absolutely right. Most people, if you Joe Blows, you ask them about the mummy's curse, they're going to talk about the mummy coming after you. Turns out there were different concepts of the mummy's curse. Like, not necessarily the mummy was going to come to life and strangle you, but maybe the mummy would cause something in your life, cause you to get ill, cause your house to burn. We'll talk about all of this. But I think the first question I had to answer was, did the ancient Egyptians even use curses? Or was this something just totally fabricated?
Yeah.
The answer is kind of complicated, I guess. There's not a real consensus. Now, we know that the ancient Egyptians practiced mysticism, and they did have curses. But we're specifically talking about curses protecting the body of a mummy and its possessions.
Like you
Right.
open the tomb and then
If you disturb the sarcophagus,
Right.
then the mummy's
You're
curse
cursed.
is upon
Yeah.
you, basically.
So what I was able to find out was this. This is a mastaba. So this is kind of a pre-pyramid rich person's burial in Egypt. And after the pyramids came, poorer people started to use this structure. It's basically just a big rectangular stone structure that the body and its possessions are interred in. They were tombs, and they began as burial sites for royals, like I said, including pharaohs back in the earliest dynasties of Egypt. As the Old Kingdom commenced, pharaohs started using pyramids. So the very first method that Egyptians used back in antiquity was just digging a pit in the sand and putting their dead there with their possessions and filling in the hole.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the contact with the dry desert would naturally mummify the bodies. So we know that that's probably where their reverence for this way of treating the body came. But when you add a mastaba into the mix, you're protecting it from a lot of the elements that would have dried that mummy out. You're not burying it in the sand anymore. And so that they had to kind of come up with these modern techniques of mummifying the body kind of artificially because you're treating it differently.
Wow.
Mastabas eventually became step pyramids, which were basically just one mastaba stacked on the other. The first step pyramids were. And when you look into these mastabas, you do find some things that sound like curses. Now, I'm going to read some for you, and we'll talk a little bit about them. So this is an inscription from the mastaba tomb of Ankh-Tifi. And it says, "Any ruler who shall do evil or wickedness to this coffin, may Hymen not accept goods he offers, and may his heir not inherit."
Damn.
Here's another one. "As for all men who shall enter this my tomb impure, there will be a judgment, an end shall be made for him. I shall seize his neck like a bird. I shall cast the fear of myself into him." So this is actually Hymen, who was mentioned in the other inscription, who, from what I can tell, is a falcon with a boner.
Cool.
Well, yeah, I mean,
He was like a local deity, I guess, worshipped at the time that this particular
boner
pharaoh
falcon.
was buried. Now, there are questions as to whether or not these curses, and I got another one that I'll read for you here in a second, but there are questions as to whether or not these curses are actually curses upon tomb robbers, because when you look into this, you'll find some people that take the tack that this was like an ancient ADT security system. It's like having the ADT thing out on your lawn saying, "Hey, man, you break in here and bad shit's going to happen to you." But a lot of people dispute that. And one of the reasons they dispute it is because some around 1% to 2% of Egyptians could read hieroglyphics. So it was much more for the priest class and the pharaohs and the upper crust of society, all of whom aren't going to be caught raiding a tomb.
no.
So
basically, your common garden variety grave robber isn't going to be able to read some warning anyway.
right. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to put a language that's really just used by the upper classes to ward away the lower class. Nobody could read it. So a lot of people say that these, instead of being aimed towards grave robbers, are aimed towards the priests and holy men and shit that had to upkeep these tombs and do rituals in these tombs, warning them from disturbing the body or doing anything wrong or taking anything. But that's not, you know what I mean? That's a curse that's not really going to affect most people now, and it would kind of die in its grave here, But it's really in kind of conflict whether or not curses were actually used in this way by Egyptians. Here's one from a little later, so after they started using pyramids. They all but disappear at that point, by the way. So they were pretty uncommon to find in this era with the mastabas and shit. Once you get to the pyramid, the Old Kingdom era, you hardly see these curses at all, but they do get more violent. So here's one from the Old Kingdom. "All people who enter this tomb will make evil against this tomb and destroy it. May the crocodile be against them in water and snakes against them on land. May the hippopotamus be against them in water and the scorpion against them on land."
So basically, like, may nature itself,
He's gonna go against you.
Not just
beset you
nature,
with
but like
fucking-
these would have been the scariest
right,
things.
monsters
Right.
and shit, basically.
Right. I mean, the hippos still kill a profound amount of people.
Right. Hippos and crocodiles are going to be coming
Dangerous
after you.
animals.
Fucking scorpions
Scorpions.
and snakes are going to be coming after you. You're not going to be happy if you dare defile this tomb in any way.
Right. But I kind of expected that I was going to get just like a ton of these different curses, but finding specific examples of these curses is pretty hard because there's not many of them.
Right. This
So-
was not a common practice.
I mean, I feel like I've been lied to, man. I feel like popular culture fucking lied to me yet again.
So I thought now, but I still think it's in controversy though. Those may have been, ancient spells or wardings to keep people away from these tombs. I don't think we've eliminated the possibility that these curses existed yet. the next thing we need to look at is how we came to know about all of this stuff. And to answer that question, we have to talk a little bit about Egyptomania, which goes on to this day, by the way. Egypt is all. I mean, how many different fucking TLC programs are there? The Secrets of the Ancient Pharaohs. I mean, people are still head over their heels in love with this culture. And I think a reason is that we can project a lot of us onto it because they weren't meticulous record keepers and they lived kind of a different life, but they were advanced.
Oh,
so
for
there's
sure.
this kind of worship of them and our ability to kind of take Egypt and make it what we want it to be. So fascination with Egypt has existed for millennia. There were Isis temples in Greece by the 4th century BCE, so they would actually take Egyptian gods and weave them into their pantheon.
It's like, oh, yeah, we got that god, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Isis. Yeah. Romans were another culture that heavily took a lot of architectural and ritualistic stuff from the Egyptians.
They were so fascinated with it, they eventually conquered Egypt.
Absolutely. So they imported a multitude of genuine Egyptian objects, the Romans, and created their own Egyptian works. Hadrian's villa at Tivoli, built about 125 to 134 CE, featured a totally Egyptian garden with statues of his boyfriend Antoninus and Antinous, who had been defied by Hadrian after drowning.
Defiled. Ooh, yeah.
I like defiled better.
Yeah. He was defiled by him.
Romans also built pyramid tombs and would sometimes worship Egyptian deities, Isis being the most popular Egyptian deity in the Roman Empire as well.
Well, the interesting thing I think especially with the Romans is that to them, Egypt was the ancient culture of like, oh wow, that's like, how like almost how Americans would view like ancient Rome now, like that's how they viewed ancient Egypt.
Right. But what most people knew about Egypt was how it was reflected in their own culture. We'll take a little look at some of it. So here's Isis holding the virgin child or whatever. This actually became a prototype for Mary and Jesus. This was a hugely popular way to see Isis represented in not only in Egypt but in Greece and Rome. Now you guys have been to Rome.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw the pyramid of Caius Cestius. I pulled a picture of it.
I like that. Let me take a look.
No,
I didn't see it.
So it was long a prototype for European representations of pyramids. Scholars began to distinguish between Roman, Egyptian, and Roman Egyptianizing works only in the late 1500s and early 1600s. So for a long time, whatever the Romans kind of took from Egypt and made their own kind of Egyptianized art was what Egypt was to most of the people.
You could see things from ancient Egypt there, like the obelisk.
Right.
Yeah,
but they were also very fond of taking like whole structures from Egypt and reconstructing them.
That was a big thing that happened.
So we're talking about Hadrian again. He was visiting Egypt in late AD 130, and his favorite boyfriend, Antinous, drowned mysteriously in the Nile River. The tragic event led to the creation of a new divinity, Osirintinius, or Antonius, the manifestation of Osiris. So he actually deified this guy that drowned in the river. Created a new city at the spot of Antinous' death. It's got to be Antinous. There's an obelisk found, so I got a picture of that. You can take a look at the obelisk, or that's actually a representation of. So you can see the.
And this is a representation of the new god
Antinius, Osirintinius.
Osirintinius or something. Here's some obelisks.
Well, this is actually just all four sides of the one obelisk.
Oh, okay. So this is just a representation of.
Yeah, I think I actually pulled a picture.
One obelisk. And here's the actual.
It still stands in Rome.
Stands to this day, like Hadrian's throbbing erection for Antonius or whatever the
Antinius.
fuck. Antinius.
Yes.
What a stupid name.
I am Antinius. Make me a god.
Get a better name.
So even as the Roman Empire started to dwindle, Egyptomania did not. and people just kind of it got worse.
Yeah, I mean, as your own culture declines, of course, you're going to get even more into the, wow, those fucking Egyptians, man, they knew what was what.
Right. So these ideas that the Romans and the Greeks had about Egypt, the colored Western ideas about Egypt to this day.
Right. So they admired Egypt, but they also kind of westernized and mythologized Egypt.
Right.
And,
Yeah. Well, through that cultural lens of like, obviously they're not gonna take it the way that people obviously the ancient culture we're talking about took it. It's like I said, it's like us looking at a culture that's 2,000 or 3,000 years old and saying and putting all our ideas and thoughts into it. Like, the constant comparison in the U.S. Like, we're just like the Roman Empire. You know what I mean?
And
Right.
the Romans were like, we're just like the Egyptian
Yeah, exactly.
Empire.
Because they were known for such a long time as the Great Empire.
Whoa.
That was weird.
By the mid-1600s, Bernini was designing pyramid tombs for the popes, and sphinxes and obelisks littered Europe's royal gardens. So
this is really, to this day, has not died down.
no. I mean, it's taken a different tact. I mean, they still build modern structures after the pyramids.
Right.
The Louvre, the big pyramid of glass at the Louvre.
The Luxor.
The Luxor Hotel.
Like a very gaudy example.
Still, though.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But certainly it sticks around to this day. So I kind of went looking for people who had defiled tombs to see if I could come up with any real examples of this mummy's curse happening to people. And what I found kind of might paint a bad light on the existence of the mummy's curse, because it may be true that we deserve this curse. The amount of mummy desecration that has gone on in the history of our species was truly something to learn about. So mummies are a familiar image in modern Western culture, sometimes silently resting in glass museum cases, or other times shuffling along on two cursed feet, moaning and draped in ragged linens in the Hollywood films. Mummies, unlike other human remains, are even now regarded as special, exciting artifacts. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
usual for a dead body to be something that people want to come see and think about. Usually dead bodies are dead bodies, but the mummy's a little something different to people.
Yeah. Special.
Although mummies can be found on every continent all over the world, they're usually associated with ancient Egypt. Early sources of the preserved remains of humans and animals were grave robbers who plundered tombs and burial sites, searching for gold, jewelry, and valuables. Sometimes the bodies would be sold as they gained in mystique and value. So this is...
I went online the other day because we were talking some mummy shit for some reason. And, we were talking about our Pinky of Christ scam we wanted to pull.
Right.
And I was like, well, maybe we can just get like a mummy Pinky. And it turns out you can just go buy mummy parts online.
Right.
And the grave robbing makes sense. 'Cause remember, the Egyptian afterlife was like you took those things with you to the afterlife. So it makes sense that a tomb might have some valuable shit in it.
Right. So this is actually a picture of one of the things that kind of infused people with Egyptomania again. This is Napoleon. You can kind of see him in the shadows under the tent.
Yeah, you can go buy a mummy for like $2,000.
Damn.
It's not even expensive.
We got to get us a mummy.
Yeah.
But that's Napoleon standing there. He did a big kind of expedition into Egypt, and the artifacts and stories and scientific knowledge that he brought back with him kind of reignited people again to start thinking about these mummies. So in the early 19th century, archaeological science was still in its infancy, but expeditions became very popular following Napoleon's expedition. So people wanted to go back, kind of retrace the footsteps of Napoleon's expedition and discover new things. Napoleon initially went into Egypt and Syria. Scientific excavations in Egypt were well-intentioned, but not always headed by scholars or experts, and were often opportunistic digs by rich, curious amateurs. This resulted in sites, artifacts, and knowledge being damaged or destroyed. Medical dissections of mummies were more theater than forensics. So I'm going to list you guys off some things. Now, some of these things have historical backing to them. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay.
Some of them don't. I want you guys to see if you can guess which ones do and which ones don't.
All right.
Here's some of the things that I found that mummies were used for. Paint.
So what? They would like
What?
ground mummies up and use them
Mummy
as paint?
Mummy paint.
It's people paint.
Mummy paint.
Huh.
I don't know if I want to paint with some dead guy, but all right.
I mean, I guess maybe it worked. I don't know.
What do you guys think? Yes, mummy paint happened or no?
Oh yeah, it
mummy
definitely
paint
happened.
Yeah.
that happened.
It happened, man.
Okay. So ancient Egyptian mummies were ground up and made into a brown oil paint in the 16th and 17th centuries, known as Caledonian brown, Egyptian brown, or most popularly mummy brown. You can
Mummy
still
brown.
actually get paints in mummy brown, although it's not made with mummies anymore.
That sucks.
Lame.
It's not real mummy brown, in my opinion.
The rich pigment was made from the remains of both human and feline bodies.
So here's a painting. I guess it was done with it.
Yep, this is a painting by Martin Drawling, done in mummy brown.
I like it.
So yeah, it actually wasn't that great of a paint from what I read. It had a tendency to crack, but it was still highly desired for its color.
Yeah, and I'm sure because I mean, like something like that. It's also I'm sure highly desired just for its like spookiness and kind of like
It's mummy brown.
yeah, you know. I mean, there's like a certain like whoa
Dude,
kind of
16th
factor.
century TJ would be wanting this paint, man.
Oh yeah.
This is an edgy paint.
Now they used to claim that one mummy could supply enough paint to last several artists for like 20 years. So you didn't even need a whole lot of mummy to make your mummy brown.
Yeah.
But eventually the supply of mummies for use in paint dwindled, as did the number of artists who wanted dead bodies in their paint. And mummy brown is now made from the mineral hematite. But you can still get mummy brown.
Now,
Lame.
you know what? That's a bullshit fuck. That's like the poser mummy brown.
Yeah, give me. I'm gonna if we buy a mummy, I'm gonna fucking ground some mummy up.
Yeah,
and make some
make
paint.
the fucking real shit, TJ.
Yeah, enough of this. Enough of this nonsense. Damn it.
You paint your house mummy brown, dude. You
How
want some
about-
mummies?
How about some mummy medicine? How about some mummy medicinal things?
Well, I know that that's legit because we talked about that in one of our episodes. I can't remember exactly which one, but we've done a few little deep dives into the history of
Dude.
medicine.
Yeah, as we know about the
I think
medical
it might have been
industry.
in our Dark Ages episode or something like that.
Oh
But
yeah,
I
they tried. Wasn't the bubonic plague one?
yeah, it might have been that
Yeah,
one.
I think we talked about.
I think
like,
they talked about they would try to like snort mummies or drink their remains or something like
yeah,
that.
just disgusting.
Like
shit.
they would just eat or snort or something with the mummy dust, and it was like supposed to
I thought
heal
they,
you or
did
some
they
shit.
smoke it? It was
Did they
something.
smoke it,
It was
like
something.
crack?
It was smoking. Yeah, I think it was like.
I don't remember
smoke of some
exactly what they
sort.
did with it, but I do remember that human remains used to be thought of as like medicine.
Well, we'll talk about it. So, in the 16th and 17th centuries, actually, mummies were secondary to this.
okay.
In the 16th and 17th centuries, a lot of medicinal treatments, quote unquote, included eating and drinking human remains, ground bones, blood, and fat as medicines to treat ailments. They were cures from everything from headaches to mental illnesses and deadly diseases. So it was no leap to use the magical and powerful mummies for the same purposes. So it was other bodies too,
Mumia.
but mummies were definitely used. This is actually mumia, which is something that was sold to people. It would have been ground mummy and just basically mummy dust.
Yeah.
And they would put it in their drinks, kind of mix it into different drinks and make cocktails out of it and drink it down that way. They make capsules out of it for
Ovaltine
swallowing.
of the Dark Ages.
Some people would rub it on them. If you go back to the picture right before this, TJ,
Yeah.
this is Charles II. He would rub mummy dust on his skin to absorb the greatness.
The greatness. How do
Yeah.
you know it was great?
Who knows?
Yeah. Like, what if that mummy was a fucking piece of shit?
Yeah, what if he was a loser mummy?
Yeah, like, what if that was just some fucking dork? All you did is absorb some dork.
No, he only bought pharaohs, dude.
Oh, okay.
So, a study in the Journal of Royal Society of Medicine reveals that mummies were widely used as drugs or medicine in Europe for hundreds of years.
Hundreds.
Hundreds. As early as the Middle Ages, ancient mummies were taken from Egypt, ground into powder. They would be swallowed or applied topically. And it's said that British, like I said, Charles II, he rubbed mummy dust on his skin to absorb the greatness. Corpse medicine eventually died out as science and modern medicine made gains.
No pun intended.
Thank goodness. But examples of using mummies as drugs still popped up in catalogs in Europe as late as the 20th century.
Oh, you know what it was? It was the cannibalism episode.
Oh, that's
we-
what it
oh,
was?
We
Yeah.
discussed that.
I think
Yeah.
you're right.
Because I found out about the medical angle. Yep. So that's what that's
Yeah,
what
you should imagine someone that they die like a few thousand years ago, then they end up some fucking rich asshole and is like, I can rub this mummy into my skin and I'll have powers.
Getting rubbed on some crazy monarch's fat, pimply ass. You know what I mean? Oh,
Yes, I will absorb his greatness. Yes.
what a fucking way to go. You see why I made this section, maybe we deserve the curse?
Anoint my balls with
goddamn,
mummy dust.
If
Yes.
desecrating a mummy brings a curse, there must have been a lot of cursed people.
It doesn't seem like it cursed too many people.
'Cause, man, dude, you can desecrate a body in a number of ways, but I think grinding them up and throwing them in with other mummies and then rubbing them on your fat ass to absorb the greatness is pretty much the worst way.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
Look to the left.
The fact that I can go online right now and buy a mummy for like $2,000, you know,
Right.
I mean, it kind of
You
says
can do whatever you want with that mummy once you own it.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know.
Think about where these mummies ended up, dude. They were treatments for all kinds of ailments. So some dude had hemorrhoids. Grind up somebody's fucking corpse and put it up your ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Fuck, dude.
Stuff some mumia up your ass. And, you know, so you might have had the ignoble fucking, you know.
Serving wench.
Right.
Please apply the mummy dust to my...
Apply a poultice of mummy dust to my throbbing butthole.
To me, this goes a little farther than just breaking into the tomb and stealing some shit. I mean, we're snorting the mummies. We're rubbing the mummies on our warty old dicks.
Bro, let's do a line of mummy.
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck, bro.
Dude, I guarantee you right now, if we
That's
bought a
some
mummy,
good mumia, man.
if we got some mummy dust and we all did a line of mummy dust, how many people in the modern fucking times can say they've done a line of mummy?
Not too many.
I mean, we could all go in on a mummy.
Yeah.
Snort some mummy dust if you want. We'll
Let's
probably
do
just
it.
get some respiratory infection.
And that's how they died.
The curse of the mummy wins.
It was cursed after all.
All right, so how about mummy paper?
Whoa.
Paper? I don't really know how that would
How
work,
the fuck
but
would you make...
I'm assuming that it's a thing.
So this is interesting. So all the way up until the 1850s and beyond, paper didn't used to be made from wood pulp.
Oh,
It was made from like linen and shit.
okay.
So the linen wrappings and papyrus fibers from mummies were said to be made into printing paper in the United States.
All right.
Now, some sources that I found said that this is more urban legend than fact. But in the 1850s, America was reaching a dilemma in paper making, producing more newspapers than any other country. It was in need of raw paper materials to keep up with the output. The claim that mummies and their wrappings were used to fill this requirement hasn't been proven, but it was an idea widely discussed and was reported in a number of periodicals, including an 1847 issue of Scientific American.
Okay.
So nobody knows for sure whether or not this happened. Some people think it's a, fucking urban legend. Some people think that paper makers actually were, in addition to just bundles of old ancient linen and shit,
Right.
importing these mummies and their wrappings to grind up to use for paper
It just
pulp.
seems like a lot of work for paper.
Well,
Yeah.
it was because think about it. They didn't know how to make wood pulp paper yet.
Right.
So they
But, I mean, it
needed
seems
these
like-
massive amounts of linen, and here's this new, area that's having all these archaeological digs, and they're digging up tons of mummies and tons of old caches of linen.
I mean, I guess, but I don't know.
So archaeologist Dr. Isaiah Deck wrote in 1855 on the availability of mummy burial sites as resources. So numerous are they in some localities out of the usual beaten tracks of most travelers that after the periodical storms, whole areas may be stripped of sand, leaving fragments and limbs exposed in such plenty and variety.
So they were not.
Damn.
It wasn't like these mummies were like super rare and shit.
No, I mean, you think about it. For thousands of years, people lived in the desert and buried their dead in the fucking sand. So these mummies, like he said, during a windstorm, they'd get, blown open and hear a mummy
phone home.
Yeah, a mummy'd come tumbling out. So there is no empirical evidence to substantiate that mummy paper was ever produced. In the American Antiquarian S.J.W. Wolf offer of mummies in the 19th...
S.J.W. Wolf.
Yep. S.J.W. Wolf. Or sorry, S.J.
Just
Wolf.
S.J. Wolf.
Sorry. I'm just so used to
SJW.
W.
He was ahead
following
of his.
SJ.
He was ahead of his time.
All of his initials are SJWs.
They are. Author of Mummies in the 19th Century America, Ancient Egyptians as Artifacts, writes that chemical and microscopic analysis would show only that the paper came from cotton or linen. So even if this did happen, There's really no way.
There's no way to really know.
Yeah,
There's no way to know for sure whether it happened. But I like to think that the ruthless ass fucking paper manufacturers over here looking to keep that edge. I'd like to think that quite a few people read their fucking daily news off of a mummy's ass, dude.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, pillage those tombs. Send over as much mummy cloth as you can.
Send us all your fucking ancient corpses with all them linen rags wrapped around them. We'll put them to good use over here.
More than likely, I would guess it was probably too expensive to ship it that far, and that's not a very reliable source, especially to get from Egypt to the U.S. I mean, it's possible, but if there's nothing to substantiate that, it's probably just an urban legend.
So if you go back to that paper that I had earlier, I think it's a picture before this.
Yeah.
So this is the Norwich bicentennial anniversary, and people claim it was printed on mummy paper.
Probably just the way to sell more of the shit.
But there was no way to actually find out because, as that expert SJW Wolf pointed out, you can only test for linen or cotton. You can't test whether that linen or cotton was wrapped around a mummy. You know what I mean? So who knows? But how about this one? Fuel. Mummies.
I don't know what Mark Twain has to do with it,
they're
but
good
I guess
and
we'll know in a
dry.
second.
They're good and dry.
Well, a lot of these products are made from decaying matter, so yeah, I could see that.
So this one is almost certainly an urban legend.
Oh.
Because it stems from reports from American author Mark Twain.
Oh, okay. Then, yeah.
Who was,
yeah, and then,
a purveyor of the occasional tall tale.
Right. The humorist popularized this idea when writing about the first railroad being built across Egypt in The Innocents Abroad. He claimed that due to lack of trees in the desert, mummies were used as train fuel, writing, "The fuel use for the locomotive is composed of mummies 3,000 years old, purchased by the ton or by the graveyard for that purpose." He seemingly tongue-in-cheek concluded that they probably burned well, as they were coated in resins and bitumen and could be stacked like cordwood. So
you know what? I believe.
Maybe it happened. I guess in a pinch. If you were out in the desert and you didn't have no fuel.
Maybe even if it wasn't common practice, I bet somebody at some point was like, fuck. All right, throw some mummies in there.
No, I thought it more like you rip off the arm, you wrap some, if it's cloth around it, and you use like a torch or something. No, I could buy that, but yeah.
Maybe it's happened.
No,
maybe
they're powering locomotives with this shit, dude.
Nah,
you guys are giving me dank D&D ideas, dude. Mummy arm torches. I like it.
Cool.
Maybe I'll throw some of those in there. Some mummy arm torches. What do you guys think about party favors?
Yeah, I could see
used
that.
as party favors.
Once again, the fact that I can still go buy a mummy, I'm thinking it probably was.
Yeah, some rich asshole has a party, and it's like, hey, take a mummy with you.
Take a mummy.
This one is undeniably, horribly, hideously true.
God bless humanity.
In the 1800s, mummies, Egyptian culture, and everything related to it, known as Egyptomania, which we talked a little bit about earlier, it was all the rage, and mummy unwrapping parties were said to be held as social events by royalty and high society in Europe.
A lot of we've talked a bit on this show about some of these gender reveal parties and shit, and how ridiculous that is.
Party.
So I just want to say I'm sorry to gender reveal parties because at least you're a little bit classier than mummy unwrapping parties.
I got a bunch of brown ass mummies from Egypt.
We should combine it, dude. You unwrap the mummy and then you pry open its chest cavity, which has been filled with either pink or blue powder. And then it's a gender reveal / mummy unwrapping party.
Wait,
that's innovative.
Oh yeah,
PJ.
because you want to know, but somebody's got to know ahead of time. I was just gonna say, just buy a lot of mummies and open one, and if it's a boy mummy, it's a boy, and if it's a girl mummy, it's a girl.
Yeah, good idea. Just look at the mummy's genitalia. What's left of them?
As the name suggests, mummies were acquired and unveiled to the delight of an audience. However, these unwrappings or unrollings often were not for parties exclusively, but instead performed academically, albeit in public settings. So
they knew they had a spectator fucking thing going on.
Of course.
It's like, of course people want to see this.
I think I pulled like an advertisement from a mummy unraveling.
Come see the mummy unraveled.
Come on down. Unrolling of the mummy.
Unrolling of the mummy.
It's a pretty bad mummy face. It
I'll
looks
tell you what.
bad.
Say what you guys want, but I'm pretty sure 1864 Scotty would been like, "Ooh, I'm gonna go to this."
I'd check it out. Fuck, why not?
I don't want to see nobody unwrap no mummy.
I want to do it.
I can do it on YouTube now. I don't need to go.
Well, yeah, I mean nowadays we can just fucking
We're
go.
talking about 1864, Paul.
Why didn't
walking
they just
down the
Why didn't they
street.
just go on YouTube? Stupid
Probably
asses.
Paul bitching back then. Where's
I mean,
it at?
YouTube was a lot slower back then, Paul.
Whatever.
Hall of the Union, too far.
So this next dude that I got a picture of is Thomas Pettigrew. He was the best-known proponent of these mummy parties. He would hold these autopsies or unrolling parties where the British social elite would gather to watch. These morbid curiosities attracted the public and were largely spectacles. However, detailed knowledge of ancient embalming techniques were gathered through these anatomical studies.
See?
So they did find some things.
So
that
it
ended
wasn't
up being
totally useless, you know?
Although Pettigrew was a showman, it has also been suggested that one of his aims for unwrapping mummies was to prove through cranial measurements that the ancient Egyptians were in fact of Caucasian as opposed to African origin.
Oh
Okay.
shit, dude.
Well, you know.
Had to be a little racism in there, huh?
Yeah.
What conclusion did he come
They are
to?
Caucasioids, clearly.
I think we might have, in one of our medical episodes, talked about phrenology, but if we didn't, it's the measurement of the human skull and the lumps on it to kind of dictate. It was very popular in Victorian England.
These folks was white, y'all.
And smarter.
So yeah, he had a little bit of a shadier purpose hiding underneath this. He wanted to prove that these Egyptians had to be white people because look at what they built.
Well, guys, look, you
They
know,
couldn't have built pyramids and shit if they were fucking anything but white. Come
Look,
on.
Right.
we already have a prototype of how to get into the big time. Hobnob with the fucking celebrities of today. Guys, let's bring back the mummy unrolling party. Let's just fucking do it. It's gonna fucking work. People are gonna come.
Yeah, I think it's an idea whose
People are
time
gonna,
has come
They're
again.
gonna want to come so they can Snapchat and have, look, here's a creepy mummy. Take a picture with the mummy. Dude, it's gonna fucking work.
So a lot of naysayers would say that this tends to kind of disprove the idea that there were curses on these mummies because we have abused these mummies in every way I can fucking think
Yeah.
of.
But then again, maybe that's why our entire culture is cursed.
Good point, TJ. See,
Yeah.
I like that open-mindedness because we're going in to the hard evidence because there was one incident or chain of incidents, as it were, that leave no question that the mummy's curse is real. And it starts with this man, Howard Carter. He pushed a candle. So in November 1922, he pushed a candle through a hole he had made in a sealed tomb door, and he peeked inside. "Can you see anything?" he was asked. "Yes, wonderful things." Carter had just discovered the tomb of an obscure 18th dynasty pharaoh, Tutankhamun, piled high with a dazzling array of treasures. The contents would stun the world. So I pulled a bunch of
So this is some of the stuff he found.
Damn.
I thought we could just talk about it.
This looks like something Trump would have in his house.
Yeah, this is a gold throne inlaid with like precious gems and carved wood and epoxies that were, it's just a crazy piece of art. And it was just kind of shoved underneath something in the antechamber of the tomb.
Right.
I pulled a bunch more of these pictures.
Yeah, there's like a sarcophagus there.
So yeah, hold
Very
on.
elaborate.
Go to that three. So that all three of those sarcophaguses were actually King Tut's. So it was like a Russian nesting doll or something.
Wow, so they like had sarcophagi
Yeah, he had
or whatever the hell.
You think what, TJ? You think he deserves just one?
I didn't say that.
So his body was in that small one, and then that small one was placed in that next one, and then that next one was placed in that next one. And then
Cool.
that next one was placed in a big stone tomb with a big heavy lid on it.
Damn.
So dude had 3 fucking separate coffins, and they're all made from gold.
Well, obviously, naturally. I mean, you're gonna bury your fucking son in a goddamn bronze sarcophagus?
Absolutely
No,
not.
fuck no.
There's kind of some detail from the foot of the largest sarcophagus.
I mean, you can tell. I mean, look, the artwork here for the time period. I mean, this is insane.
And you got to understand, this isn't one of the more well-known or powerful or long-reigning pharaohs.
This is just some fucking,
Now,
like
Tutankhamun
you said,
died
he was a
when
pretty
he was a kid.
obscure.
Yeah.
I mean, like he's most famous for being dead.
Yes.
So
He was a kid. Like, he didn't even reign for that long, and they took this level of care
Rain for like 5 minutes.
I think there might be one more picture of stuff that was in there. Yeah, this is probably the most
famous image. Yeah.
Yeah, the most well-known thing that they got. This is his death mask. So this was kind of placed over his head, mind you, inside of 3 golden coffins. So even inside the last coffin, he had this fucking awesome thing. Which I don't know, dude. I want it. I want this. Is there an artifact in the world that you want more than this one? If you could have
pretty
any
fucking
artifact
cool.
in the world to own and wear and do whatever you want with, what would it be? Because for me, it would be this one.
I mean, yeah.
This is the dopest shit I think that any king ever had. Does this not fucking beat every fucking crown jewel you've ever seen? You know what I mean? Look at like these other kings' crowns and these other fucking vestments of nobility and shit.
Well, look, there's a reason why people. This has traveled all around the world, and people have paid a ton of money and clamored and huge crowds to see this shit. I mean, it's because it's so unique and it's just so interesting to have this just relic. I mean, look, this is from like at this point 4,000 years old, and look how beautifully it's been preserved.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm struggling to think of something that's more ornate.
I mean,
Or-
on this size scale, I mean, obviously, if you're like, yeah, I want a fucking pyramid or something, yeah, that'd be cooler than this. But like, as something this size, yeah, not really. I mean, there's nothing I can think of as more famous as far as like an artifact.
There's nothing more bougie.
I mean,
Nothing more bougie than King Tut's masks.
I mean, so I typed in coolest artifacts on Google.
Yeah.
And it is the
Yeah,
first one
of
that comes
course.
up.
I mean,
so-
look at
Of course
that.
it is. Of course it is. So that should give you guys an idea of what a huge find this was. This was a totally undisturbed, from what they could tell, or at least undisturbed in terms of its contents and what was left there.
Yeah.
And especially in comparison to a lot of the other tombs that they were finding at this time, most of which had been looted dry. This tomb had just it was actually built underneath another tomb that was built later for another king, and the rubble from the excavation for that tomb was just kind of piled in the entrance to this one, which ended up sealing it off for thousands and thousands of years. So, if you go to the next picture, TJ, Carter and his sponsor, Lord Carnarvon, had made the greatest discovery in the history of Egyptology, a fully intact 3,000-year-old pharaoh's tomb that seemed to be untouched by grave robbers. The story was mesmerizing. Henry Morton, the only journalist allowed on the excavation, filed a series of reports about Carter's discoveries to the London Times, and they just kept coming. There was so much shit in this tomb, and it took them months and months just to clear the first room to get to the burial chamber where all those coffins and shit were.
So there was it was just like a treasure trove, basically.
An insane amount of stuff was pulled out of this tomb. I mean, it was absolutely unheard of to find a cache of ancient artifacts like this. And the richness of them, everything was gold. Everything was rubies and precious stones and just beautiful works of art. I mean, every little thing they pulled out of here, when you see it, I've never gotten a chance to see it collected in a museum, but I've heard it's just fucking stunning.
Well, it's what the modern American or modern person thinks of as like the end of the ancient tomb, and it's just like adorned with gold and precious metals and jewels, and it's like that's kind of what we kind of think of as like you go into this tomb, that's what you're going to see.
So it took them, like I said, 3 months to sort and catalog everything that was in this first room that they busted into.
The first room,
Right,
That's
the antechamber. And then after that, they were ready to open the inner burial chamber, and what they found astonished them. 3 solid gold coffins nested inside each other. Inside the final one was the mummy of the boy king Tutankhamun. So this became a huge international story in a culture that was already, shown itself to be for thousands of years at this point obsessed with Egyptian culture. This was, and still is to this day, the hugest cache of Egyptian artifacts and the richest cache of Egyptian artifacts ever found. So here's where the curse starts, and I'll leave it up to you whether you believe or disbelieve. So the day Carter first discovered the entrance to the tomb, when he got home, he saw that a cobra had gotten into his house and killed his pet canary. Now, pharaohs were represented by the cobra, Scotty. I see your fucking skepticism firing up. And
No,
Carter's workers all felt it was an ill omen. Do not enter. What do you think about that? I mean, of all days, the day you discover King Tut's tomb is the day that a cobra breaks into your house.
Like a coincidence, Paul.
A coincidence.
Coincidence.
Whoever heard of such a thing?
Best-selling novelist Mary Corelli, quoting an ancient Arabic manuscript, told the press that the most dire punishment follows any rash intruder into a sealed tomb.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe you're not convinced, Scotty.
No, not yet.
A few months after the tomb's opening, tragedy struck. Lord Carnarvon, 57, was taken ill and rushed to Cairo, where he died a few days later. The exact cause of death was not known, but it seemed to be from an infection started by an insect bite. Legend has it that when he died, there was a short power failure, and all the lights throughout Cairo went out. And then his son reported that back on the estate in England, at the same time Carnarvon was dying, his favorite dog howled and dropped dead. Explain that. Is that just another coincidence, Scotty?
Sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me.
Huge blackout. Dude dies from a fucking mosquito bite.
All right, let's see. So power
His
outage.
dog drops dead.
So Egypt probably didn't probably have that great of energy grids at the time.
What?
The guy got sick because he's in a foreign
Explain the dog.
He's in a foreign country where he's not used
Explain
to
the
diseases.
dog.
Yeah, what happened to the dog?
How do you know? I mean, that,
It's another
Explain the
coincidence.
dog.
that just sounds like more of an urban legend or a tall
No.
tale.
Explain the dog.
Well, there's even more, Scotty. There's even more. That's
All
not enough. On this point, there's more. Even more strange. When the mummy of Tutankhamun was unwrapped in 1925, it was found to have a wound on the left cheek in the same exact position as the insect bite on Carnarvon that led to his death. I think my next picture shows that wound, TJ.
All
I
right.
don't see it.
See, there it is.
Okay, well I see that.
Right there on his left cheek.
Well, it's why they believe that he was murdered. I mean, obviously he was a child, so
He was also sickly.
yeah, he was sickly. So they probably just didn't want him to be a pharaoh. You know, they gave him a nice burial though.
Now, you tell me, a man dies from a bug bite in the exact place as a scar that exists on the mummy whose tomb he desecrated.
What?
And on the same day, the lights in Cairo go dark. And thousands of miles away, Scotty, his dog howls into the night and falls over dead.
Well, that hasn't been proven though.
And you say coincidence.
Well, also, he didn't have any proof he was bitten by the bug there.
Proof, schmoof. Look into the eye sockets of Tutankhamun and you will see the truth.
All right,
Hell yeah.
I see it. It's some person who was at once in basically a role of importance in their society. They were brutally murdered for power, buried in a tomb very ornately, which is very interesting to
A
people.
cursed tomb.
Which is very interesting to a lot of people who
A
have
cursed tomb.
interested in this
Scotty.
in an ancient culture. And then they make a discovery which is great and a lot for archaeology, but it's just popular culture. And this just sounds like a story that would sell more tickets to go to the museum.
What an idiot.
Pish posh applesauce, Scotty.
Because they widely toured with this mummy. So I mean, people have been seeing this mummy for
You
the
think the
last 100
curse is
years.
over now, Scotty? You think that's all we got?
I don't think there's ever a curse to begin with.
You think I would just bring one man's death to the table, Scotty? One series of, as you call them, coincidences? No. It was just the first, Scotty. Just the first of many, many coincidences.
All right. Who was
So
this dude?
rumors began to circulate that Carter and Carnarvon had found stone tablets in Tutankhamun's tomb inscribed with a curse. Had Carnarvon been struck down by a pharaoh's spell for daring to desecrate the burial place? I think we've proven that yes.
Yeah, I'm convinced.
And before you start saying, well, who else believes this? How about Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Scotty, creator of Sherlock Holmes, thought so. Now, ironically, for a man associated with the logical detective, Doyle was an ardent believer in the supernatural and declared that Carnarvon was struck dead for daring to disturb the young boy king. But that's just one death, Scotty.
But one death.
More were to follow. A few weeks after Carnarvon's death, Carter gave a wealthy financier, this is him here, George J. Gould, gave him a private tour of the tomb. Soon after, Gould came down with a fever and died dead.
Yet again.
No.
Yet again. People going to a foreign country older, getting malaria or some other disease is very common that time.
Wow, you just got a little excuse for everything, huh?
Scotty, is it not true that millions of people a year travel to foreign countries and do not die of malaria?
Yes.
I rest my case. I rest my case.
But millions of people do travel to other countries and get very sickly and die, though.
No.
Okay. Well,
All right.
here's another victim of the mysterious sickness that seems to only affect people that go into Tutankhamun's tomb. This is Prince Ali Kamal Fahmy. Oh, sorry. Prince Ali Fabulous He Ali Ababwa. Strong as 10 regular men, just wait and see.
Wow, okay, so this guy has actually literally been proven to be as strong as 10 regular
Yes.
men.
Yes.
Okay.
Or he was.
Well, he was, of course.
But not only him, South African millionaire Wolf Joel, both of them were murdered.
What?
Yes. Shortly after they visited King Tut's tomb. So here, Scotty, we see not just a mystery illness that befalls anybody, but indeed 2 men go in the tomb, and then mere weeks later, they both lie dead at the knife of an
So
assassin.
here's my question.
Dead.
The guy that found it, what happened to him? Was he killed or cursed?
Well, we'll get to him in a minute.
Okay. What about all the people that visited the tomb that nothing happened to them?
We're not talking about them here tonight, Scotty.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
We're not talking about those people here. They're not important.
All right, fair enough.
So
Whoa.
British MP Aubrey Herbert visited the tomb, went home, went blind and died of went blind and died blah 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 blah. Hey, went blind! Oh no, the mummy curse struck again!
Died of blah 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 blah
He died that damn old mummy curse done took him down, man.
He died of blah blah blah.
He he can't even see no more.
It's like what is blubbity blow?
It went blubbity blow. Couldn't even dumb their
He
change
blubbity-
through, man. He went blind and died of blood poisoning. Blood poisoning.
Dude, no, how fuck that. He died of blubbity blow.
He died of blubbity blow.
He just got
A
blubbity
rare
blow.
form of blood poisoning.
He got blubbity blow and he was gone.
But not only that,
Yeah.
that guy Herbert that died of blubbity blow,
Uh-huh.
he was Lord Carnarvon's half brother.
Shit.
What the fuck?
Holy
Oh my god, guys, I've remained a skeptic long enough.
Well,
How can you even explain this? This is impossible.
let me just murder your skepticism further. When Herbert went into the tomb, here's what he said. Something dreadful is going to happen to our family.
What the fuck?
That was his quote before stepping into the fucking tomb.
What the fuck, dude? So, dude, you know what? It was like that moment in the movie where he knows his fate is sealed if he steps in the tomb. Then he fucking does
But
it.
he's powerless.
He has to. His destiny
It
is written
draws
before
him like a moth
It's fate.
to flame.
There's not a chance here. This is fucking fate, and he knows he's got to enter the tomb, good or bad. And then he has those famous prophetic words, and what happens to him? He's fucking dead.
Dead.
And there's more. I
What?
mean, the coincidences pile up. Hugh Evelyn White, a British archaeologist, visited Tut's tomb and may have helped excavate the site. After seeing death sweep over about 24 of his fellow excavators, by 1924, Evelyn White hung himself. But not before writing, allegedly in his own blood, Scotty.
Blood.
I have succumbed to a curse which forces me to disappear.
Dude, the curse is so powerful that he had to fucking kill himself. Like, he realized at that point, it's like, look, the curse is going to haunt me till the end of my days. So my days might as well end now.
Now, I didn't pull every death associated with this because as they get farther and farther from the excavation, it starts to strain credulity a little bit. You know, like there are lists that are like, and then 22 years later, he dropped dead in his mansion. You know, and it's like, all right,
Well, damn. I mean,
all right,
yeah.
now. But you asked earlier, Scotty, about Howard Carter himself, and to be honest, never had a mysterious, inexplicable illness. His house never burned down. He died of lymphoma at the age of 64. His tombstone even says, "May your spirit live. May you spend millions of years, you who love Thebes, sitting with your face to the north wind, your eyes beholding happiness." So perhaps the pharaohs decided to spare this one man from their curse.
You know what, Paul? You could say, we've talked to this, this episode, like, of all these curses and these supernatural events, maybe it was his destiny. And he was the only person that could enter and not suffer a grave punishment. But everyone else, those workers that died, the guy that hung himself, I mean, that family that suffered so greatly, blood poisoning, and then was it an infectious disease killing the Lord Carnival, or whatever his name is?
Everything. Everything under the sun. Murder, sickness, infected ant bites,
Howling
cobras.
dogs, cobras.
You know, the whole fucking gamut, Scotty. All of Egypt turned against these men for desecrating this tomb.
I mean, I have to admit, guys, going to this episode, I just thought this was like,
I gotta say this though.
this is movie bullshit.
I don't know, man. I don't think we can so easily dismiss the death of Howard Carter at the age of 64 of lymphoma.
King Tut gave him lymphoma.
Right. I mean, maybe he would have died at the age of 82 of, pancreatic cancer or something, if not for the lymphoma given to him by King Tut's curse. We don't know.
I rest my case.
We don't know.
Usually when I go investigating these more supernatural things, I find a load of hooey. I find a bunch of bullshit. But today I think I've conclusively proven that if you fuck with a mummy,
you're dead, dude.
And his tomb, you're dead. Eventually you're going to die.
Yeah, eventually.
That's crazy.
It might be the next day.
You know what?
It could be 70 years later.
Howard Carter would probably still be alive to this day if he hadn't fucked with that shit, dude.
He probably would be. We could probably have him on the show as a guest. But no. Lymphoma claimed him.
Yeah,
lymphoma.
Lymphoma from beyond the
Sure,
grave.
Sure. I mean, how many people have you ever known to die of lymphoma? I haven't known one.
I don't think I've known one either.
Yeah, but all of a sudden we're supposed to believe this mysterious lymphoma.
I mean, how many people have died of a mosquito bite on their cheek?
None.
Yeah.
Not even one.
I can't think of anybody.
Zero.
But we're supposed to believe all these coincidences, all these deaths just happen?
I mean, look, you tell me a story one time. Oh, okay. Twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6. It's like
It just keeps happening.
When it just keeps happening over and over again.
Over and over again.
What is a rational person supposed to do but conclude that there's a mummy's curse?
I mean, I think at this point, you'd be stupid not to believe
You'd
in the
be
fucking mummy's
irrational.
curse, bro.
Well, our viewers are now fully informed.
Yeah.
And they can go out amongst the
And I'm
populace.
canceling my order for that mummy. I don't want
I wouldn't
thing.
touch
Oh,
it with
dude.
a 10-foot pole.
I don't want it.
Nope.
I
Cancel
don't
your
feel
mummy order.
like dying.
Nope.
Fuck that. I ain't paying no $2,000 for a fucking death
Don't
sentence.
do it, TJ. Don't fucking do it.
I ain't gonna do it. Hell no. Hell no.
Whatever you do, if you ever have the chance to enter a tomb, say no.
Yep.
Just say no.
Or you will surely suffer a dreadful fate.
The most dreadful fate.